So, what is LinkedIn marketing and why should you care? Well, if you run any sort of blog, website or business online and you want to find opportunities to grow and increase your turnover and profits, then you need to make sure you're on LinkedIn and that you're making the most of it. Of course, you probably know how important social media marketing is in general, and chances are you're already investing time, money and effort into managing your presence on Facebook and Twitter. Or at least you certainly should be if you aren't already. But LinkedIn? That's a much smaller social network, and most likely you're thinking that it belongs much lower down on your list of priorities. You might even be asking yourself why LinkedIn marketing specifically deserves an entire video series dedicated to it. So, what's going on then? Well, the point that many people miss is that LinkedIn is not about sheer numbers. Rather, LinkedIn is about who it gives you access to and how you can use that to expand your business. LinkedIn actually offers huge opportunities and advantages that other social networks just can't match due to the way it allows you to interact with highly influential individuals within your industry or niche. LinkedIn is different from other social networks for one big reason. It's designed for businesses and it actively encourages self-promotion. Now, this is entirely different from Facebook, for example, which encourages you only to add people you actually know to your list of contacts. On Facebook, the Pages for Business is an afterthought at best, and any serious attempt to promote yourself might be seen as spam and result in punitive measures. LinkedIn, on the other hand, is a tool for self-promotion. It gives you access to a gigantic network of contacts operating within your field, and it gives you the means to reach them, to work with them, and to be seen by them. They say that business is all about who you know, and LinkedIn is all about making sure that you know the right people. Or as LinkedIn put it in their own mission statement, the business is all about connecting the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. And it goes much further than that. Did you know, for instance, that LinkedIn has its own publishing platform that is perfectly designed for content marketing? Now, here are some facts about LinkedIn. 1 out of every 3 professionals is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network and gives you access to the largest group of influential and successful individuals anywhere. As of 2015, LinkedIn has 364 million members. LinkedIn continues to grow rapidly. The same time last year, the site had 296 million members. LinkedIn has members in over 200 different countries. And LinkedIn is one of the oldest social networks, having been formed in December 2002. Now, while LinkedIn might not be as big as, say, Facebook, it's certainly rather large, and when you consider the caliber of those who are on the site, it soon becomes clear that you and your business need to be there. What's more, you need an effective strategy to make the most of LinkedIn, so that you aren't just spinning your wheels and wasting your time. And that's where this video series comes in. Keep watching, and we'll look at how you can build an amazing LinkedIn profile, how you can leverage the many amazing tools that the site provides you with to promote yourself and your business, and how you can network with other users to make the kinds of powerful connections that can propel you to the top of your game. Now, before we delve any deeper into how you can create your LinkedIn pages and profiles strategically, or how you can market yourself, it's first important that we look at what your end game is. What is the objective on LinkedIn, and what can you hope to gain from putting in the time and effort there? Now, the main benefits of LinkedIn can be broken down like this. When it comes to networking, you can use it to find job opportunities, to find business partners and opportunities to promote yourself, to find clients and customers, to find potential employees, and to create new opportunities. When it comes to marketing, you can use it to increase awareness, to build brand loyalty, to create a more professional impression for your brand and your services or products. You can promote a website and gain SEO and social media marketing benefits. You can find potential clients and customers, and you can build leads and keep in contact with them. In addition to that, you can stay up to date with industry news and opportunities, find potential services and suppliers. You can keep track of your own employees and your own achievements and business, and you can organize your contacts. Throughout this series, we'll assume that your goals include all of these key points, and as such, we'll address strategies that will help you with all of them. And we'll start in the next video by building your profile strategically. So, when it comes to creating your LinkedIn strategy, where do you start? Well, the best place to start is always at the beginning. So come here to linkedin.com and then sign up here on the registration form. As it says, registration takes less than 2 minutes, and of course LinkedIn, the basic account, is free. So I'm just going to fill out my name and email address in here. And you can see I've entered my name and email address in there, and you create a password and then click on the button here that says join now. It takes you through to this page where LinkedIn will help you to build your professional profile, and you can see these entries here with the red asterisk are required. Now, first thing you enter is your country, and it'll usually detect this from your IP address. I'm in the UK, so it's entering United Kingdom, but you can also, if you wish, choose from the drop down menu here, and so if you're away from where you usually are when you set this up, you can enter the correct information. Then you want to enter your postal code or zip code, and then it'll ask you to select whether you're employed, a job seeker, a student, and you can also check the box here for self-employed. Now I'm going to set this up for someone who's employed because later on I'm going to have a company profile, so I'm going to assume that I do actually have a corporation. And so let's enter my job title as Head of Marketing, and we'll enter the company in here, and then it'll check online to see if there is already a company out there with this name. So if you work for a large corporation, it'll automatically link it to your company's page. As this is just a made-up company, obviously there isn't anything out there at all, so we can just clear that. And then we have the industry, and you can select that from the drop-down menu. And your profile is going to act as a springboard for most of your other activities. And here the idea is to sell yourself and to make yourself look professional and accomplished while doing so. Now, LinkedIn is going to give you a number of tools and areas through which to accomplish these objectives, and we'll look at each of them in order. So we'll click here on Create My Profile. Okay, now the next thing it's going to want to do is to get your email address and to ask for access to your address book. And you want to skip this step for the moment, because what they will do is they will then contact people who are already members of LinkedIn and invite them to view your profile. And they'll also send an invitation to people who are in your address book who are not on LinkedIn and invite them to join. Now, there are two reasons why you want to skip this step at this stage. First of all, you don't really want to tell people about your profile until you've got it already set up, because they'll send them an email and they'll go and look at your profile and it won't be complete, and they'll click away and your chance of connecting with them will be lost forever. Secondly, you want to be very selective about who you invite to look at your profile and who you decide to connect with. And I'll cover that in a bit more detail later on in this video series. But for the moment, we're just going to click here and skip this step. The next step you'll come to is to get the app for things like your iPhone, iPad, Android mobile phone, and so on. Because obviously I can't record what goes on an Android phone or an iPhone in this video, we're just going to skip this step here. So click here on this button. Now it tells you your account is set up and you can choose your plan level. you can choose the premium version of LinkedIn, or you can choose the free basic account of LinkedIn. If you choose the basic account, you can always upgrade to premium later on, and I'll talk about that a bit later in this video series. But for the purposes of this video demonstration, I'm going to choose the basic account. So just click here on choose basic. Okay, and there we go. This is the profile set up, and it looks a bit basic at the moment. And they do have ways that you can talk you through adding things like what school you went to and that sort of thing. But what I'm going to do here in this video is I'm going to show you a different way of doing it, which can get much better results than just the plain standard way of setting up a LinkedIn profile. Okay, the first thing that you're going to want to change is your headline, and that is this bit here. You see it says Edward Martin, Head of Marketing at DM Solutions, which is a bit boring. So I'm going to click here on where it says, or rather I'm going to click here on this little icon here that looks like either a pen or a pencil. I can't quite make out what it is. So click on that. And now you can enter in your professional headline. So I'm just going to highlight all that and delete it. And then I've got another headline that I've written out in my word processor and then copied and pasted to the clipboard. So let's just paste that in there, Control and V, and then click here on save. And there you go. It's telling anybody who comes to my profile a lot more than just my job title and company. You can see it says Internet Marketer, Digital Entrepreneur and Business Consultant, helping businesses to connect with customers and clients. Now, whatever you put here, you want to try to make sure that it's short and succinct, while at the same time professional, impressive and descriptive. You know, the idea is to make yourself sound like someone that people would want to work with if they're in your field. At the same time though, you should also aim to put across a bit of personality and to help make yourself feel somewhat approachable. Now this doesn't mean that you should try to be funny or quirky in your headline, and this can come across as desperate and may actually undermine your ability to appear professional, so you'd want to avoid that. But think about it this way. What you're trying to do is you're trying to sum up your professional persona in a single line. And this means that you want to encompass what you do for a living, your mission statement, your goals, your history, as much as you possibly can, but within a bite-sized form. And you have 120 words to play with here, so you can get, a reasonable description in there. Now the next thing you want to do is your summary. I have to scroll down a bit for that, because it doesn't actually show it when you first sign up. Oh yes, one other thing here. What you want to do here, it says notify your network. You want to turn that to no for the time being, and then once you've got all of your profiles set up, then you can turn this back on. But if at any stage you've already got people from Gmail, or you've been sent an invitation to sign up to LinkedIn from someone who's already a member, then that will notify them immediately. And you want to make sure that your profile is complete before you start to share it with any potential contacts. Okay, that's just a bit of a sidebar there. Okay, what you want to do here is click where it says view more, and then click here where it says add summary. And it opens up a window like this. And don't spend too much time trying to cram everything into your summary though, as that's what your profile summary is for. This is the next field that you can use to enter your details into, that you can use to attract potential business partners and clients. And this is where you'll go into a little bit more detail explaining what it is you do for a living and what the key elements of your business are and your major achievements. Now, the best way to think about this section of your profile is to imagine that you're at a professional party or event and someone comes up to you and asks what you do. Now, your job is to answer that question in about a paragraph or maybe two, while at the same time selling yourself. Unlike at a party though, you don't need to worry too much about boring the other person when you're writing your LinkedIn profile. And it's a good idea to write out your summary in your word processor first, so you can get it just right, and then you can copy and paste it in. So let me just do that now. And once again, I'm taking the example of a digital marketing expert. And you might want to say something like this. I am the founder and owner of DM Solutions, a small business providing digital marketing solutions. I help companies and individuals to increase their visibility on the web through search engine optimization, branding, content marketing, influencer marketing, and social media marketing. I have worked with a large number of clients in the past, included I Loved Mince Pies and Lanyards R Us, both of which saw significant increase in traffic, turnover and profits thanks to the efforts of myself and my team. I have also several other professional interests, including web design, programming and more. I am the developer of a very successful app and have an extensive background and qualifications in business management, marketing and graphic design. I'm currently open to working with any and all new clients, so please get in touch if you require my services in any capacity. Now, do you notice that this summary performs three main roles? It outlines the specifics of what DM Solutions does, it shows how this helps the business, and it demonstrates a clear potential return on investment, and it gives a little background. What's more, it also invites readers to get in touch, which right away opens lines of communication. Don't be afraid to outright ask for the kinds of connections you want to make. Are you looking for sponsors on your YouTube channel? Great, then ask for them. Are you looking to get into fitness modeling? Again, mention this and invite agencies to get in touch. While writing any aspect of your LinkedIn profile, try to keep in mind the following objectives. First of all, the content should be grammatically correct with no errors in spelling or punctuation. The tone should be professional but human, like you might see on a CV or resume, but with a little more personality. And you should try to keep it brief and aim to give the most information with the fewest words. Here's tip number 1. Your summary and your headline do not need to be static fields. You can update and freshen up the information you provide about yourself regularly. For instance, what was your biggest accomplishment this year? As we age, we gather experiences, accomplishments and knowledge, so you have to keep updating your profile to ensure that it conveys everything that you have to offer. Tip number 2. Ditch the buzzwords. Remember how you were always told to say things like teamwork and synergy and initiative on your CV. Well, that's old advice and it's becoming something of a cliche. So try to avoid making the age-old mistake of using big and impressive sounding words to say, well, nothing much at all really. Instead, focus on being honest, genuine and likable. Likability is a big factor. No one wants to work with someone who comes across as being unpleasant. And finally, tip number 3. If you're not confident in your writing skills, then write it yourself and have a proofreader look over it. Many writing agencies offer this service quite cheaply. Or you can alternatively ask a friend or relative with good writing skills to do it for you. The next section for you to fill out is your experience. And here you can add each of your different job roles and briefly highlight the skills that you learned working in those capacities. If you currently own your own business, as many watching this will do, then remember to make sure that you include that here. At the same time, put down any jobs that sound good and that help you develop the experience you have today. Remember, the rate you charge will be directly related to the experience you have in your industry, so show your clients why you deserve the rates you're going to ask for by demonstrating your decorated career so far. One tip though is to make sure that you only include relevant job roles. The ideal scenario is that each of your former positions was in the same industry and that they together demonstrate your ascent through the ranks to become the best in your business. It's okay to include job roles from previous career paths, however, such as the time you thought you wanted to be a lawyer. Just make sure that in the description you mention how it benefited you and you try to link it to your current position. So if you're currently offering web design services and you want to include your work experience as a waiter, make sure you focus on how you learn to deal with clients and listen to their requirements, skills that transferred nicely to your current role. Always try to keep in mind the outcome that you want from your LinkedIn profile, and then paint everything on the page in that light. Okay, tip number 1. Avoid trying to list part-time jobs and other non-relevant information. If you spent your summer working for a local paper round, well, leave it out. Including this kind of experience only makes it look as though you're clutching at straws. If you're fresh out of college and you want to find a job, then it may be useful. For serious professionals looking for networking opportunities and clients, though, leave it out. And tip number 2. You have the option here to list documents, photos, links and videos to back up what you say. Now, you don't have to do this, but if you can provide some evidence, then this will help you to inspire more confidence and trust. Okay, now let's add a project. And the project section is your real opportunity to show off and to demonstrate what you can do. And you can use this to showcase your personal projects, such as an app, a book, or website that you might have created on the side, but you can also use it to showcase your best work within your current position. For instance, if your last organization left you in charge of relations with a big client and it turned out well, then that's something you can list as a project. Likewise, if you recently provided work for a big client to help them promote themselves or cut their overheads or design a website or whatever, then this is something else you can list. And this section is particularly useful for self-employed entrepreneurs and startups. Now, if you list your own business as your only experience, then this isn't going to inspire a lot of confidence for your clients on its own. They might it might be that you actually spend all the time sitting at home in your pajamas claiming benefits. By listing high-profile clients that you've worked with, though, and by listing the results that you've helped them to achieve, you can show that your business is one that should be taken seriously and that you really know what you're doing. Note, though, that you need to check with your clients before listing them by name. Okay, now you want to add skills. So let's click here on skills. And here is where you can list all the skills that you have in all your areas of expertise. And you do this by searching for keywords, and this is one of the main ways in which potential clients and partners will find you. Try to be comprehensive here, but again, avoid overreaching. If you start adding skills like makes a mean carbonara, it'll come across as though you don't have any actual marketable skills. This is the equivalent of listing your work experience as a school cleaner when you're trying to promote yourself as a lawyer. Laser focus has the benefit here of making you look like a master of your trade. At the same time, by having a smaller selection of skills, you'll find that you get more endorsements for each individual one. And this means that people have ticked yes when LinkedIn has asked them whether you really know about what you claim to know about. Tip number 1. Make sure you make an effort to endorse other users for their skills. When you do that, you'll find that they tend to feel obligated to reciprocate in kind, and you'll quickly build up a long list of endorsements. Let me just talk you through a couple of other things here. The education section is where you're going to list your qualifications, and here you can add any college, university, high school and extracurricular education, as well as any courses you've completed. Again, you also have the option to add documents, photos and videos as evidence that you really do have the qualifications that you say you have. Now, as with your projects, there's no requirement to do this, but it certainly doesn't hurt. And likewise, as with your work experience, try to avoid adding qualifications that don't relate to your current business in any way. That cycling proficiency certificate you got when you were 6, well, you can leave that one out. Let's scroll down a bit more and show you another thing here, and this is honors and awards, and this gives you the option to showcase any crowning achievements, and this can be a great way to sell yourself a little more. If you haven't headed up many projects in your line of work but you've repeatedly been employee of the month, then this is where that might belong. Again, think about what you're bragging about and whether that will actually impress anyone, though. Now, as a general tip, you want to fill in all the details on your profile, and let's just scroll up a bit here at the top. You can see here, as you add more and more information in, so your profile strength will rise. The old adage that a picture tells 1,000 words is certainly true when it comes to picking a picture for your profile. And no matter how hard you've worked to write yourself a bio that will stand out and make people want to do business with you, a poorly chosen picture can completely undermine all that hard work if you're not careful. So, how do you go about picking a picture that will show you in the best light and that will work with you to help build connections and business opportunities? Well, the first thing you need to consider is that your photo should be of yourself, obviously, with your face prominently visible. The next thing to do is to ensure that the photo looks friendly and approachable, but at the same time professional. Now, this definitely isn't a scenario where you want to use a picture from your latest night out on the tiles, nor do you want a picture of yourself hugging your pet pooch. Instead, the best LinkedIn profile pictures will simply be of you in a shirt or suit, smiling for the camera. Ideally, though, you want to avoid anything that looks too staged or forced. Don't make the common mistake of dressing up in a suit at home and taking a picture in your home office. You'll look like an idiot. If you don't normally wear a suit, then look for a picture of yourself in smart clothes. For example, if you've attended a wedding recently, then take a look through those pictures and try to find something appropriate. Smiling is still important though, because, again, you want to create a profile that makes people want to work with you. Then again, this shouldn't be a smile that says, "I'm having a great day out." You want one that looks dependable, approachable, and reliable. And likewise, try to pick something that makes you look attractive. You might not expect this to matter, but actually, studies show that better looking people tend to get better jobs and do better in interviews. Now, it can be difficult for us to tell which photos of ourselves are the most attractive, so if you're unsure, try asking a friend or relative which of your pictures works best. Okay, tip number 1. You can also add a cover image, just like on Facebook. And this is a good way to make your profile more eye-catching, and it's a great way to enhance brand awareness. If you have a logo, then adding this to a black background and making it your cover image will help tie all your products and services together and will aid in your attempts to build authority. Keywords are very important when it comes to LinkedIn, and I'll be covering how you get those sorted in the next video. The title of this video is Keywords Are King, and that is very, very true. You see, when writing your LinkedIn profile, something to keep in mind is that you can benefit from including keywords and phrases. These are phrases and terms that people are likely to enter into search engines, including both Google and LinkedIn's own search function. The idea here is simple. By using the right words throughout your content, you will increase the likelihood that those words will bring up your profile when someone searches for them. At the same time, though, it's important not to overdo the insertion of keywords, as this will make your text seem awkward to read, damaging the impression that you'll make on your visitors. Meanwhile, when you overuse keywords, this can actually send a signal to Google that you're attempting to manipulate their search algorithms at the expense of delivering great quality to their visitors, and this can result that they'll end up penalizing your page and preventing it from ranking highly in the searches at all. A good density for inserting your keywords is around 1 to 2%. Moreover, Google is now capable of looking at related keywords and using those to help you rank as well. This is called LSI optimization, or latent semantic indexing, and you can read all about it here on the Wikipedia page. So, as well as trying to subtly lace in your keywords, you should also be aiming to write around the topic and include lots of synonyms and related terms. And this should occur pretty much naturally as you're writing. The biggest question is how you pick your keywords to begin with. Here, the answer is to think about what people might be looking for that other LinkedIn users might not have thought about targeting. So, in other words, if you try and rank for the term writer, you may well find that this is very difficult or even nigh impossible. Why? Because everyone and their wife will be trying to do the same, and the chances of beating them all is slim. You might then instead try to rank for something like 15th century art law writer. The problem in this case? Well, no one is likely to be searching for that term. You'll be the first name to come up if anybody does, but, well, probably nobody will. On the other hand, though, if you were to try and go a little bit more specific by ranking for a term such as fitness writer, you can stand a much better chance of competing within this more limited field, but at the same time you'll still be able to attract traffic through a decent number of search queries. Once you've made your LinkedIn profile, you'll next want to add your company page. And this is like a profile, except that you'll be writing about your business rather than about yourself personally. And this means you should write in a manner that sounds a little more detached and professional than you would do in your own personal profile. And you should also focus on value proposition, in other words, how people stand to gain from using your products or services, as well as on your mission statement and goals. A little SEO, search engine optimization through keywords, again can go a long way. To create a company page, come up to the top here where it says interests and click on companies, and then over here on the right hand side where it says create a company page, click here on create, and it takes you through to this page where you start to enter the information about the company. Now it talks you through it, you simply follow the on-screen instructions, so I won't go through it all again in this video because it's all fairly straightforward. One thing I will tell you though is that the company page has a summary field just like your profile, and this is where you're going to fill in most of this information. Now previously there was a products and services page, and this is no longer supported by LinkedIn. Instead, you can now create showcase pages, which is where you'll be able to create specific pages for your products and services. And this might include your digital marketing services, or it might include your website. And this has the distinct advantage of allowing you to market a specific aspect of your business. For example, if you have multiple websites, you won't need to have multiple company pages. You can actually get direct sales from your LinkedIn page if it's good, so make sure that you give your visitors the direct links to where they can buy what you're selling. At the same time, you want to demonstrate the success that your products and services have enjoyed to show how capable your business is. So you want to talk about the number of sales, you want to talk about customer reviews, and so on. On your company page, you'll find that your branding is particularly important. You'll want to include a logo as your main profile image, for instance, instead of a picture of yourself, and you'll probably want to do the same for your cover picture. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is an excellent way to tie all your various products together and create a coherent visual style that's going to increase your apparent professionalism. And this is a very important tool for creating authority in your niche and for creating a cohesive experience for your visitors and customers. So, how do you go about creating your brand? Well, the first thing to do is to come up with a logo if you don't have one already. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but essentially this needs to be an image created with vector software to create a vector file instead of a raster file. The reason that these are so important is that they allow you to subsequently edit the image by selecting individual lines and moving them around the image. At the same time, they can be zoomed in and out of without sacrificing any image quality. Essentially, the difference is that vector files contain code that tell the computer how to draw particular shapes. On the other hand, raster files are simply large selections of pixels in particular positions. And the best software to use for creating your logo is Adobe Illustrator, which you can access from the Adobe website, which is adobe.com. And at the time that I'm making this video, there is a free trial offer. Then you have to pay for it as part of a subscription to the Adobe Creative Cloud. If you don't want to use that, there are some alternatives. There are some free alternatives as well, and if you do a search in Google for Adobe Illustrator alternative, you can find quite a lot listed. When coming up with a design for your logo, try to ensure that it's simple and that it's versatile. You should be able to change the color of the logo, to shrink it, to enlarge it, and to place it on various different backgrounds without sacrificing the quality or the visibility. And this is important because, apart from anything else, you're likely going to be needing to have this as a square format for your company page and your profile page, and as a cover image in a horizontal or rectangular size. So do spend some time and effort on this aspect of your business before you invest too much time on LinkedIn, as it will act as a force multiplier and help you to benefit more from all of your subsequent work. In fact, if you aren't particularly confident in your own abilities when it comes to branding and design, you should think about hiring someone who you know and trust to do a good job. In fact, why not try using LinkedIn to find a professional designer? You should also consider making yourself a prominent part of your own branding. And this is a great strategy for bloggers in particular, and there are many prominent examples of this working well. And some good examples of this in action are Tim Ferriss of the 4-Hour Workweek, which is 4hourworkweek.com/blog. Then you've got Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income, which is smartpassiveincome.com. And then you've got Dave Asprey of the Bulletproof Exec, which you can find here at bulletproofexec.com. Okay, in the next video I'll talk you through how you go about expanding and utilizing your personal network. Once your LinkedIn profile is set up and you have created your company page, the next thing you need to do is to start growing your personal network. As I mentioned before, this will create countless new opportunities to promote your business, to find business partners and to gain clients, amongst other things. We're looking at this first rather than marketing, because marketing on LinkedIn will become that much easier once you've built up a large network. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, when you first sign up to LinkedIn, you'll be given the opportunity to add a bunch of people that you already know through Facebook, through your mobile phone contacts, and through your email, amongst other things. And you can see you can also add it by clicking on these icons here. And at first this might seem like an irritation, and you'll probably be tempted to quickly swipe through all of your old school friends and work colleagues, but don't. Why? Because those contacts are incredibly valuable, even if you're not particularly interested in their actual careers. To understand this is to appreciate the full power of LinkedIn, which often comes down to essentially being a case of degrees of separation. To see this in action, take a look at your current LinkedIn profile and then search for someone influential that you want to be connected with. Don't be afraid to reach for the stars and aim big. Richard Branson might be slightly too high up in the pecking order, but if you have a few hundred contacts, then you could very well find that you're connected with someone like Tony Robbins. And that's a hugely powerful connection, and I'll explain how you can use that later. So, in other words, that kid who always used to pick their nose at the back of history class is well worth adding on LinkedIn, because their aunt might just happen to be best friends with Tony Robbins' hairdresser. It's always possible. The wider the audience you connect with, the more easily you'll be able to start reaching out to more people. So don't just accept all of those people you know. Make sure that you actively seek out anyone you can think of and use them to build your professional network. And you never know, it might just turn out that someone you used to know is themselves now a very powerful connection for you. Rapportive is an incredibly important tool that you can use to increase your connections. Essentially, Rapportive is a plugin that you use with Gmail and which can then show you the LinkedIn profile of anyone who messages you. And this makes Rapportive a fantastic tool in many ways. Not only does Rapportive ensure that you can find out who someone is when they propose doing business with you, but it also gives you the significant advantage of being able to add them as a contact right then and there, rather than having to remember to do it later. If someone contacts you to suggest working with you, or even if you contact them, this puts you at the forefront of their mind and thus gives you the opportunity to reach out to them. Even if they turn down your suggestion to work together, the fact that they've actually communicated with you makes them far more likely to add you to their LinkedIn network out of politeness and a sense of obligation alone. But when you do this, timing is everything. You need to act quickly to take advantage of that window of opportunity while they are susceptible to your approach. If you leave it a year and then try adding them on LinkedIn, you'll find that they are all the more likely to simply ignore the request. At this point, you might as well be messaging them cold again. And you can find out all about Rapportive right here at rapportive.com. This doesn't all have to be one way though. In fact, you might find that you have better luck creating meaningful connections, more about that later, by inviting other people to connect with you. So, how can you do this? Well, one simple way is to use a plugin on your website that lets people easily connect. Some themes will even have this feature built in, letting you grow your network quickly. WP LinkedIn is a basic plugin that lets you embed your profile throughout your site, and you can read all about it here at wordpress.org/plugins/WP-LinkedIn, and you should be able to install this from within the WordPress dashboard as well. Another way to do this via a website is by using the Follow Company plugin generator, which is for getting people to follow your business as opposed to your personal profile. Note that when you use the Follow Company plugin generator, you can do so for your business or for a showcase page. And this again is particularly useful for promoting a website or a blog that belongs to your business, and this way you can treat your company and your website as separate entities. And to access the Follow Company plugin generator, you come here to developer.linkedin.com/plugins/follow-company. Then you need to sign in with LinkedIn and follow the on-screen instructions. Another option is to invite your followers and friends to connect via email marketing, Twitter or Facebook. And this is a good strategy because these people are already fans and have already decided to follow you. So they're likely to be more receptive to an offer to join you on LinkedIn. They may even be excited to. And finally, don't be afraid to suggest connecting in real life. If you meet someone at a networking event or even at a social gathering and you think there's a chance that you could do business with them, or that they know someone that you might want to do business with, then ask them to add you on LinkedIn. You can even consider adding your LinkedIn profile to your business card. If you'd like to be fancy, you can do it with a QR code so that your connections can just scan your card with their phone and then add you on LinkedIn. It's like having Rapportive in the real world. In the next video, I'll talk you through how you go about managing your network and connections. In this video, I want to talk about how you go about managing your network and connections, because how you go about doing this can be very important. And right now, you might find yourself starting to get a little bit excited about the prospect of LinkedIn marketing. Perhaps you've looked up Barack Obama and found that you have a connection in common. I can talk to President Obama, you're no doubt exclaiming. But while this is a nice thought, the reality is unfortunately somewhat different. You can't just leap in and start talking to Barack Obama because despite that contact you have in common, you're still not best mates. Well, unless of course you are. Even the contacts that are direct connections are not necessarily going to regard you as anything other than a complete stranger. Being friends on LinkedIn doesn't make you friends in real life, especially for a major player who's likely to get contacted by about 1 billion smaller fry on a daily basis. Likewise, that kid who used to pick his nose in history, well, he probably doesn't want to introduce you to Obama either, especially if you used to tease him. The point is, to be meaningful on LinkedIn, a contact has to be meaningful in real life. It has to be someone who owes you a favor, someone who genuinely likes you, or someone who engages with your content. Likewise, you need to think about your contacts in terms of who they are and what they mean to you. The way you approach your best mate is probably going to be a bit different from the way you'd approach Professor Stephen Hawking. Likewise, the way you approach someone in the fitness industry is likely to be different from the way you approach someone in the programming industry. So you need to manage and organize your contacts, and that means thinking carefully about who they are and how important they are to you. At the same time, you need to maintain your relationships and keep them meaningful. Fortunately, LinkedIn has some very useful tools for doing both. One example of this is the suggested contacts, where LinkedIn will alert you to birthdays, to promotions, and to other meaningful events in your contacts' lives. And this is a very handy way to stay in touch with someone and to stay on their radar if you genuinely know them. If you want to take this further, then try using the excellent 500 Plus utility, which you can access here at 500plus.com. And you come to the page, and then you can sign up with LinkedIn or log in with LinkedIn and then follow the on-screen instructions. And this is a tool that allows you to easily stay in touch with contacts by alerting you to contacts you haven't contacted for a while so they don't forget you. At the same time, 500 Plus also helps you to organize those contacts in meaningful and useful ways. Another tool built into LinkedIn itself is the options to add tags. What you do, let's come up here, is you click here on connections, and unfortunately, because this is a brand new account that I've set up for the purpose of making this video, I can't actually demonstrate this, but once you've got some connections already in LinkedIn, if you click here on connections, you'll be presented with a list of people you know, and these are already in order of how recently you've communicated with them, and you can sort them into an alternative order and filter them in various ways as well. And at the same time, you can add tags which essentially allow you to categorize each person in terms of the way you know them, the industry that they're in, or anything else that might be useful. However you do it, the trick is to make sure that you spend time actually tending to your connections rather than just viewing them as in the bag as soon as you're connected. And just one final thing at the end of this video here. There's been a lot of talk over the years of LinkedIn improving its own contact management utilities. In fact, it's been implied that it could eventually become a fully fledged CMS, which would make... In these next two videos, I'm going to talk about how you go about marketing yourself and your business. And there are two ways that you can do this. The first, which we're going to talk about in this video, is through influencer marketing. And the second one, which I want to talk about in the next video, is through content marketing. So let's talk about influencer marketing. Now, once you've put in all this time and effort into growing your list of LinkedIn connections, you might then start to think about how you can use them to market your business, your website, or your blog. And this is where influencer marketing comes in. And this is a relatively new term in the world of internet marketing, but also one of the most powerful and important strategies that you can have available to you. Essentially, influencer marketing straddles the line between conventional marketing and networking, and combines them in a truly powerful way. What's more, it can save you countless hours when it comes to promoting yourself and getting ahead on the web. As it happens, LinkedIn is actually perfect for influencer marketing and is perhaps the optimal tool for doing it effectively. So, what is influencer marketing and how does this idea work? Basically, influencer marketing means that you're going to stop trying to reach as wide an audience as possible with your marketing, and instead you're going to focus on the quality of the audience you market to. This might mean focusing on one individual and getting them to retweet or promote something you have to say. So, if we were to take conventional marketing on Twitter, you might spend countless hours trying to build the number of followers and then trying to create new content that would help increase your engagement. Over countless hundreds of hours spread over months or years, you will build enough of a following to become an influencer in your niche and to start getting more business each time you post. With influencer marketing, though, you'd skip this step. Instead, you would focus on creating a relationship with someone who already has a huge amount of influence. Let's take Sir Richard Branson, for instance. If you could somehow reach Richard Branson and get him to tweet about your product and to use your username, you would likely get thousands of new followers overnight and gigantic sales for your book or your services. In other words, you could leapfrog all of the competition by going directly to a key influencer who has the ears and hearts of your audience. This way, just one single retweet, a guest post, or a shout-out could be an order of magnitude more effective than hundreds or even thousands would regularly be. The problem is, though, Richard Branson probably doesn't want to shout out to you on social media, and in fact, you probably have no means of contacting him. This is where that degrees of separation thing comes in again. You see, if you could find someone who knew someone who knew someone who knew Richard Branson, then you would be connected by 3 degrees of separation. And anyone who is connected to you by that many people will then show you your connection to them. In other words, you will be able to go onto LinkedIn and you will be able to see the 2 people who you need to go through to get to Richard Branson. What's more, if you're connected to someone by 3 degrees, then you'll be able to send them in mail. This is a message they'll receive in their LinkedIn inbox, and which statistically has a higher chance of being opened. Suddenly, it becomes all the more possible that you could reach a big influencer in your niche, especially if you're working hard to grow the prominence of your website. Get big enough, and you might be considered an E-lister. That might be enough to encourage a few C-listers to contact you to potentially do business together. That in turn means that you now have the opportunity to directly contact some of the biggest thought leaders on the planet. Yep, this is powerful stuff. Now remember what we said earlier though. Outright messaging Richard Branson out of the blue is not going to go down well, even if you have a vague connection by people that neither of you really know all that well. Yep, imagine that. So how do you go about getting the attention of the big players? Well, one trick is not to aim quite so big. Instead of looking to get a free promotion from the biggest names in your industry, try to make meaningful connections with the rising stars. Look at the people who are just ahead of you and try to work with them instead of trying to jump ahead. These people will have a much better chance of wanting to connect with you because they won't be inundated with requests and because they have something to gain from the relationship as well as you do. Even then though, you need to be careful about how you get in touch. Once you've made the connection, try to manage that connection by congratulating them on a birthday or something like that, or by sharing content that they might find interesting. More about that a bit later. Then, when you do get in touch, make sure it's with something that they'll genuinely find interesting, and avoid trying to do any sort of thinly veiled motivations that are too self-serving. Think about the kind of message that you would respond to and try to come across as more genuine. This is even more important if you're emailing a big name in your industry. Instead of straight away telling them that you want to do business with them, just try saying that you're a huge fan and that you'd love it if they checked out your website. Leave it at that for a while. Likewise, sharing something that you think might be useful to them is another way to gradually build a rapport. Tip number 1. Note that you may already have some very powerful contacts in your connections. It could well be that someone you know is now a big name in a particular blogging sphere, and if they've already connected with you, then this is almost like a freebie. LinkedIn makes life easy for you as well by actually highlighting the true thought leaders with an influencer badge right on their profile. And so you want to be persistent, but not too much. Don't be disheartened if you don't get a positive response right away. You'll likely find that these people have a lot on their plate, and as such they won't always have time to respond to your messages. The best strategy is to wait a few months, even a year, and then try again. Don't be bitter, and instead just be friendly and outgoing. The result is that you'll eventually become known to them, even though they don't respond. You can also try contacting them through other means, through Facebook for instance. Comment on their blog posts a couple of times too. And when you want to be persistent though, you don't always want to be annoying, or you'll end up being blocked and you're going to ruin any chance of a meaningful relationship in the future. Never email more than once every few months, unless you get a response, and don't write overly long messages. Bear in mind, these people are going to be busy. And never come across as rude, entitled, or bitter. Oh, and remember that you're trying to make a good impression here, so spelling counts for a lot. The objective here is not to come across as a rabid fan. Better yet, though, is to ask for an introduction in person. Here, you will only be using LinkedIn to identify the people who are powerful connections in your network, and you're then going to do the rest in person. So once you see that someone you know is twice removed from a powerful business partner, you can then ask them to introduce you at a party or a similar networking event or something like that. And this way you'll have a much better chance of being able to make a good impression. You know, the people who we meet in real life are far more memorable than the people who contact us on the web, for obvious reasons. And we're far more likely to want to do them favors or to work with them if they can come across well. Okay, in the next part of this video, I'll talk you through content marketing and how you can bring all this together. In part 1 of this video, I talked about influencer marketing, one fancy marketing buzzword. Now it's time for another, content marketing. Like influencer marketing though, content marketing is not just a buzzword, but rather an incredibly powerful marketing tool. In fact, content marketing is somewhat considered as the natural evolution of search engine optimization and is now an integral part of almost every business marketing strategy. Essentially, the objective with content marketing is several-fold, but it all revolves around developing high-quality content, not surprisingly. Traditionally, this content will then either be uploaded to your own blog or to the website of someone else in your industry, where it's known as a guest post. We're going to focus here on uploading content to your own blog, and yes, even if you run a B2B or commercial business, you should still have a blog which you can use to add content to your site and to build a relationship with your visitors. This is also very important for your SEO, and the more content you add to your site, the more there will be for Google to search through and index. When it comes to LinkedIn marketing, content marketing is all about offering value to your visitors through your blog. Essentially, you're going to add lots of new content to your blog or website, and you're going to make sure that it provides real value to your LinkedIn network. This means it needs to be interesting, useful, entertaining, engaging, or all four, preferably the latter. Again, think about the kind of content that you would want to read. Avoid anything that's derivative or done to death, and instead ask yourself, if you saw that crop up on your home feed, would you click on it? If the answer is no, then you need to rethink the angle of the piece, or you need to make the title more interesting. What you're now doing is converting your LinkedIn connections into potential fans and regular visitors for your website. This might also lead to some people signing up to your mailing list or even becoming direct customers or clients if your site is good at converting. At the same time, if you keep posting great quality content to your LinkedIn network, you'll find that they generally start to regard you as someone who knows what they're talking about with regards to that subject or niche. This is the other huge benefit of content marketing. It allows you to demonstrate your knowledge and give your visitors a free taste. Eventually, they should come to consider you as a leading authority in that field, and as such they might seek out your opinions when looking for products, services, or other ways to spend money. It's at this point that you become an influencer yourself and give yourself a platform through which you can launch your various business ventures. But why do all the work yourself? You can also let people share your content from your blog directly to their LinkedIn networks. To do this, you just need to install Shareaholic, which you can install here from shareaholic.com. Install that onto your WordPress site, and that way visitors will be able to quickly and easily share your content on a number of different social media sites, LinkedIn included. Note that you can also get your content automatically shared with LinkedIn through WordPress as you post it, and this can save you some time as well when it comes to sharing it manually. Another way is the LinkedIn Pulse, which you can come here to linkedin.com/today. And LinkedIn Pulse is a great tool that essentially allows you to make guest posts on LinkedIn. Now, normally the idea of a guest post is that it will allow you to backlink with your own website, while at the same time gaining some authority of the post that your posts appear on. So it's sort of working off the back of somebody else's post, you see. Now, Guest posting has the advantage of allowing you to target a very specific market, and that being the demographic that you're trying to sell to. Well, LinkedIn Pulse is essentially a news service that's published right on LinkedIn itself that users can use to find interesting stories published by their connections or that are within their areas of interest. And as a reader, this is an excellent place to learn industry news and to get inspiration for your own content generation. In terms of networking, it's an excellent way to find influencers in your niche. And from a marketing perspective, though, it's a great place to publish your content for SEO benefit and to improve your authority, your influence, and brand exposure. Of course, on top of all this content marketing and influencer marketing, you can also use LinkedIn to just, well, post. This works the exact same way as it would on Facebook or Twitter, and whatever you post will appear in the newsfeed of your connections and followers. As with Twitter or Facebook, each time you post, you increase your brand awareness and remind your connections that you exist. At the same time, you can use this method to let people know about new product and service launches, about special offers, and about all manner of other things going on with your business. The rules of posting successfully on LinkedIn are the same as they are for any other social media channel. Make sure that you post regularly, but not too often. Don't say anything controversial or offensive. Don't promote yourself too much, and always offer something that has value. People don't want to know about your lunch. More than other networks as well, make sure you stay professional and on message. If you're a car salesman, then you probably have people following you who like cars and who are in the industry. So make sure your posts are on topic, and that way you'll be providing value and you'll be providing something that actually interests your audience. Companies can also post by using company updates, and these are similar posts that you write from your business, and they'll appear in your connections news feeds. This is once again a good way to make sure that people see your logo regularly and are reminded that your brand exists. Better yet, if you create a company update and post it to your feed, there's a chance that someone will like it, they'll share it, or they'll comment on it, and when they do that, then it becomes visible to everyone in their network. LinkedIn doesn't have the same potential to go viral as, say, Facebook. However, what it does give you is the opportunity to potentially get your content seen by people like Donald Trump. Again, if you have someone in your connections who knows someone in theirs, then it only takes a couple of likes for them to be able to see what you've posted. And if it's something that makes you look very good, that might then A, elicit a like or a share from that influencer, or B, leave them more open to potential business offers in the future. So don't let the relatively small number of shares and likes put you off. LinkedIn is all about quality, and you absolutely must be posting here as well as the other big social networks. Note as well that you also have access to another very powerful tool, targeted company updates. Now these are basically updates that allow you to target precisely who sees your post in their newsfeed. Filters include company size, industry, function, geography, language, seniority, and more. All of this means that you can target precisely who sees your messages and thus avoid spamming all of your connections with information and news that they aren't really likely to be interested in. Company updates also give you a useful way to update your employees about changes within your organization. And this demonstrates the power of LinkedIn as a business management tool for internal business dealings, as well as for networking and marketing. In this video, I want to talk about LinkedIn investment. And by that I mean spending money on upgrading to LinkedIn Premium and taking out LinkedIn ads. Now, as we've already discussed, LinkedIn marketing is a potentially highly powerful tool for networking and marketing. And if you follow the advice in this video series, you'll find that the possibilities are endless. The question you might be wondering then is it worth upgrading to LinkedIn Premium, and whether or not you should be using LinkedIn ads? As the platform is already so powerful, might it not make sense to invest some money into it and potentially amplify that potential? So what do you get with LinkedIn Premium? Well, basically, everything that's listed in this video series you can already do with a regular LinkedIn account. In other words, you can use all of the techniques suggested in these videos without having to spend a dime. And you certainly don't need a LinkedIn Premium account. And probably you shouldn't think about spending any money until you have at least implemented some of the strategies that I've talked about so far. But if you are having success with LinkedIn and you'd like to get a bit more success out of it, then LinkedIn Premium does offer some interesting incentives. And these include advanced search, which allows you to search specific LinkedIn members using a number of advanced filters and fields. Now, specifically, you get an additional 8 fields to search by, which are company, size, seniority level, interests, and Fortune 1000. And this means that you can quickly find a contact you want to work with rather than having to sift through everyone that you know. Another great way to make connections on LinkedIn is to see who's viewing your profile and then to add those people back. And this is a useful tool because it allows you to see how well your account is working. Normally you can see a few of the people who recently viewed your profile, but with Premium you can see everyone. You'll also be able to see who found your profile and what keywords they used. And this is very powerful because it allows you to monitor the effectiveness of your LinkedIn SEO. Then there's InMail. Now, everybody has InMail for connections for second and third degree connections. But with Premium, you'll be able to send an InMail to everyone on LinkedIn. And you can use this as a way to prime people to accept your offer to connect, rather than just contacting them out of the blue. And finally, you have LinkedIn ads. And what these are basically a PPC network, a pay-per-click network, and it works in a similar way to Facebook or Google AdWords. That is to say that you only have to pay when somebody actually clicks on your ad, although you can also pay per impression. You'll generally only pay a few cents for each click, but the more you pay, the more often your ad will appear. You can also set a minimum daily budget, with the minimum being set at $10 US. And this is very effective because it means you don't have to pay anything if your ad doesn't generate any traffic. Likewise, again like Facebook ads and Google AdWords, LinkedIn allows you to carefully target who sees your ads. And this is fantastic for B2B organizations as it lets you specifically market to decision makers within your industry. What's more, LinkedIn ads also work incredibly well for recruiting. The exposure you'll get from LinkedIn ads, of course, is not as great as you'll get from Facebook or from Google AdWords, but for the right business model, this is definitely worth experimenting with. And in some ways, the slightly less popular nature of this platform can work in your favor, as there's going to be a lot less competition for you. Okay, in the last video in this series, I'll give you some tips for using LinkedIn and we'll bring it all together. In this final video, I want to share some of my top tips for using LinkedIn. First and foremost, you should write in a professional manner with perfect spelling and grammar. Think carefully about your headline. Choose a profile picture that shows your face because these are more memorable. Choose a profile picture that is attractive and makes you look reliable and trustworthy. Spend time on creating a logo and a brand before putting too much effort into LinkedIn. Create a cohesive and consistent visual style across all of your channels. Feature your product and experience as they relate to your current business. Use basic SEO on your profile page. Create a company page. Add showcase pages for your products and websites. Endorse people to try and get endorsements back. Accept all invitations to connect on LinkedIn. They may just be valuable. See who you know through your connections and don't be afraid to test out whether you're connected to some big names. Seek out people to connect with. Use Rapportive to add email contacts to your LinkedIn account. Connect to people you interact with in the real world and consider adding your details to your business card. Ask people to give you a real-world introduction to people in your LinkedIn network. Make it easier for people to connect to your website. Ask people to connect through other channels. Post content regularly and make it high quality. Share content from your blog. Don't contact people you're only distantly connected to out of the blue. Manage your network and bear in mind the difference between a contact and a meaningful contact. Post company page updates and target them where appropriate. And finally, consider upgrading to premium and/or using LinkedIn ads. So there you have it. Everything you could possibly need to know about LinkedIn marketing and how to really make the most of it. Hopefully, you're now well aware of the potential power of LinkedIn and of how to leverage it for maximum effect. The real take-home message is that it's a highly powerful tool for networking, and that in turn makes it incredibly valuable for various forms of marketing, especially influencer marketing. This is the one and only platform that you can use to arrange a meeting with the biggest names in your industry, and that's usually valuable to any business and to any entrepreneur. And I wish you every success.